Hello everybody, this is Yoko's Anime Reactions, and oh boy. This episode, to be completely honest, I just figured it was another episode. I had no idea it was the Season 1 finale for the Idhun Chronicles. I was not expecting it at all. I was expecting, to get more episodes. I figured, I'll finish this one and I'll just wait for episode 6. Oh no. Oh no. It is not the end. It is the end of season 1. Oh my god. A lot of stuff happens in this episode. Alsod is still in control of himself, and, somewhat. He's still fighting it, obviously, but he's still in control of himself. But Jack ends up getting discovered by Kirtosh, and fights against him while obviously trying to run from him at the same time and find Alzon. He finds him, and Kirtosh ends up killing a sheik and ends up destroying the door that's keeping him and the other hybrid stuck in the cell. The other hybrid goes and attacks Kirtosh, and I think he kills her? Question, when Kirtosh freezes the injury, does that mean that it's the creature still alive? Or, I don't know. Anyway, while this is going on, Victoria and Shale are dodging, all the enemies, and they end up making a magic mist in the area to try and, hide themselves and also, be ready for to ambush the enemy when they show up. They end up running across a mage sheik, which ends up knocking Shale out in the process. And Victoria is able to destroy the mage easily, surprisingly. Well, then again, Shale, I think, was running low on energy at the time, so I think it makes sense. And while this is going on, Kirtosh goes outside, and at this time, Alzon and Jack are trying to make their way out, trying to find a way out of that place, and Alzon grabs his sword at the same time, and we see when he's fighting the sheiks, he's acting more animalistic. Like one of them, I think he rips out the throat of one of them, or it looks like that's what he did. And I'm like, good God, man. But I think it's still the spirit that's kind of, in control, a little bit in control at this point. I think it's kind of, in between. They're both in control. Or maybe he is still in control, but he's, acting on instinct. And even he comments, what am I turning into? And, they end up making their way out, up to the top of a tower, and all of a sudden just decides, I'm gonna jump off. So he grabs Jack and jumps off and lands safely, surprisingly, and sends Jack to go find the others while he takes care of the enemies, and he goes and fights them again. While all this is going on, this is where the two things happen that I, to be completely honest, was not expecting to happen at all. First off, Shale is still unconscious at this point, and Victoria Kirtosh ends up running into them. And, Victoria tries in vain to fight him. The staff gets knocked out of her hand, and he claims that he could just as easily kill her, and she's like, well, why don't you do it then? And I don't know what the heck is going on with Kirtosh's head at this point, but I had always assumed that, he was loyal to the necromancer guy. But from this next exchange, it's making me think that maybe he could possibly be turning against him. Or maybe he's just essentially like a hired thug where he has no real allegiance to the guy type thing. And he essentially asked Victoria to come with him and, in his words, be his empress. And I'm like, what the fuck? I assume it's either one of two things. One, which is probably the more logical reason, he's doing this so he has not only access to the staff, but the person who can wield it, and he can use them to find the unicorn and fulfill his mission. But at the same time, it makes me wonder, is he have a thing for her, possibly? I mean, they're not too often aged. I mean, he's like, what, 15? She's just turned 13? So maybe he could possibly like her. And he's just, being odd about it. And this is where I'm thinking that maybe he's not really aligned with the necromancer guy very much. And then maybe he's planning on overthrowing her, and he would end up ruling with Victoria if she was to side with him and all this, and on Idhun. Because that's what he's claiming. He's claiming that he wants her to be his empress, and they would rule Idhun. And I'm like, really, man? You pull this out of thin air right now in this episode. And I'm thinking, Victoria, don't you even dare. Because I didn't think she would ever turn against her friends. And it looks like she's like, should I do it? But thankfully, the mage guy shows up. And yet not thankfully at the same time, because this is about to happen with the other one. And is claiming, like, what the heck are you doing? If you're not going to kill her, I will. And Shale woke up at this point. And he sees what's about to happen. He jumps in to protect her. And, when the guy fires the blast at him, Kirtosh fires, I'm assuming, a protective barrier or some sort. I assume. That's what it looked like anyway. And the two blasts collide with Shale. And he disappears. I assume he's dead. I was like, no, why did you kill Shale? Because Shale, to be completely honest, was one of my favorite characters in this show so far. And we just lost him, essentially. Obviously, Victoria is devastated about this because, Shale was probably the closest thing to family that she's got besides her grandmother. And I don't know how old Shale was at this point, but I was saying essentially in the reaction that if I expected anybody to end up liking Victoria, it was either Jack or Shale. But yeah, I think that Shale is probably at least 18, somewhere around there. I don't know. But yeah, now Shale is gone. And Victoria is obviously upset about this. Obviously, what the mage did was the wrong thing to do because this next second, Kirtosh kills him. Finally. And, Kirtosh just decides to I'm just going to leave for the time being. You think on what I said, essentially, and left. At this point, Jack shows up and I'm like, where were you 10 seconds ago? Well, maybe not 10 seconds ago, but you get what I'm saying. Where were you when all this happened? Because I was thinking that maybe if Jack had been there, maybe it might not have ended the way it did. But she ends up grabbing Victoria, or he ends up grabbing Victoria, and they meet up with Alzan and head back. Alzan is not doing very well. He's trying to stay in control of himself, but having a hard time. And he's asking them to please send him to Earth because he's afraid he could possibly hurt them. And he doesn't want that. And obviously Victoria's still upset about, Shale dying. And Alzan ends up convincing Victoria to send him somewhere, but they don't specify where he went, to Earth, and Jack comes in as she does this, and they get into a huge argument, and because, he didn't want to send Alzan away because he could have possibly gotten in control of himself and been a useful ally, even more useful ally than he already was. And he has Victoria send him after Alzan because he wants to find him. So now he's got to search essentially the entire world trying to find him, because who knows where Alzan went. And Victoria went back to her usual life, and her teacher noticed that something seemed off, and she asked her what happened, and she told her that she's grieving for the loss of a friend. And obviously none of them know about the whole Idhun stuff, so she couldn't really specify. And the end of the episode, Kirtosh is there, and he's like, well, now nothing can keep me from you, essentially. And I'm like, good God, what a way to end the episode. Not that at this point, I didn't know it was the season finale. That was just Sorry. I didn't know it was a season finale until after I finished recording and just decided to, look, see, when are we going to get to episode 6? No, we're not getting episode 6. We'd be getting season 2, episode 1 at some point in the future. I don't know when, but oh my god. That episode. Why, oh why, did they have to kill off Shale? Why couldn't they have just incapacitated him or sent him to another dimension where he'd come back later? Don't kill the guy. Actually, considering there's magic in this world and the fact that we didn't see a body afterwards, he just disappeared, it wouldn't surprise me if it just sent him off somewhere and he's somehow still alive. I mean, the bio said that he's currently dead, but then again, I don't know how much that's just based off of what we know, we've seen in the show so far. We all assume he's dead. He could be alive for all we know. Heck, it would not surprise me if later on in the show we find out that he's still alive and that when he got hit by that attack, it sent him straight to where that unicorn was, and it saved him. It would not surprise me at all. But yeah, I'm really hoping that's actually the case, because then he would be alive, because he's one of my favorite characters. And now I'm questioning Kirtosh's allegiances at this point, because actually, it doesn't appear that he has told the necromancer guy the whole story, because obviously he's not going to tell the guy, hey, I'm trying to get some girl to be my empress and we would rule Idhun, which would overthrow you. So, yeah, he's not going to be mentioning that to him. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this show so far, if you're eager for season 2, because I certainly am, especially after that last bit. Oh boy. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this so far, and I will see you all next time.